A very good evening to all my dear students. I hope you all are fine. I hope you all are studying hard. And I hope that the homework that was given to you, you all have done that. So today is our last session for chapter number 3, audit documentation and audit evidence. We are on the verge of completion of this chapter, but yes, 3 important essays, that is essay 550, essay 560, and essay 570 we will be covering today, right? And as I told you that if the time will permit, we will definitely revise the topics that you all have requested. And also we will discuss the May 2022 suggested answer, right? But depending upon the availability of time. So, Judge Jyoti, Dhyanesh, Yatiraj, Khushi, Sankaran, Aman, Ramachandra, Harshita, Jyoti, Mr. Bohra, a very good evening to all of you. So quickly send in your replies as to whether you have gone through the module till where we have studied, that is page number 3.59. And studying the module, going through the module means in entirety, including the examples, the illustrations, the tables, everything that is given in your module, right? So quickly we'll be starting with the first essay for today, which is essay 550 regarding related parties. Okay? So students, let us just first try to understand as to why are we studying a separate standard on auditing with respect to what related parties. So the essay number is what? Essay 550, and the name is what? Related parties. So why are we studying a separate, there is a separate essay which gives certain standards as to how the auditor, when he's conducting the audit of financial statement, he needs to perform certain audit procedure with respect to certain related party transactions and relationships. Why? See, students, you all know that the preparation of financial statement is the responsibility of the management, right? So the management has to prepare and present the financial statement as per the applicable FRF, right? Now, with respect to related parties, with respect to related parties, so AS 18 is there, which has certain disclosure requirements for the companies with respect to related party transactions and relationships. Then Section 2, Clause 76 of the Companies Act contains the definition of related party, whereby with respect to, in case of companies, what all will be considered as related party for that companies are given, like director or his relative, KMP or key managerial personnel or his relative, and many more, right? Further, Section 188 of the Companies Act is there, which requires that when there is any related party transaction, it need to be passed by way of what? Board resolution. And further, if it is beyond some limit, then resolution of members is also required, right? And further, students, you will be studying in your chapter number 10 with respect to audit committee, whereby you'll study that with respect to related party transactions, the approval of audit committee is also required, right? Now, when we are conducting the audit of a company or audit of the financial statements, so as such, prima facie, the auditor is not having any, any issues with the related party transactions, right? But the auditor needs to ensure that the management has prepared and presented the financial statement with respect to related party transaction as per the applicable FRF, right? And students, see the nature of related party. What is, in a very layman language, what is related party transactions? The transaction with the related party, any party which is related to that company. And where is it defined with respect to a company? In clause 76 of section 2 of the Companies Act 2013, right? So as such, we as auditors, we do not have a problem with the related party transactions. There can be related party transactions, but yes, that should be with respect to what? Applicable financial reporting framework. An auditor needs to ensure that. Also, as I was telling you, that the nature of related party is such that the chances of collusion between the party, since they are known to each other, so the chances of collusion is high, right? So that is why sometimes such kind of transaction poses what? Significant risk in an audit of financial statement, right? So when the auditor is identifying and assessing the risk of material misstatement through understanding the entity and its environment in terms of SA 315, the auditor will ask the management about a list of the various related party transactions that management is having. With respect to all those related party transactions, auditor will accordingly decide the nature, timing, extent of his audit procedures, right? So basically, I want to say that under SA 330, the auditor's responses to assess risk, auditor will, based on his assessment of risk of material misstatement, auditor will what? He will decide the NTE, nature, timing, extent of his further audit procedures, right? Now, let's say during the course of audit, auditor comes across any related party transaction which was not disclosed by the management to the auditor. Then what to do? As you all know, that the assessed risk can always be revised. So auditor will revise his assessment of risk of material misstatement. Why? Because now he has come across a transaction which is undisclosed by the management, right? And accordingly, he'll modify his audit procedure. So this is the basic framework behind SA 550, which is related parties. SA 550 also give a basic guideline as to what is a related party. So we will see the definition of related party in terms of SA 550. Then we will see what all documents auditor can verify, inspect in order to have knowledge about the related parties, relationship, and the transactions, and what all audit procedures, what are the responsibilities of the auditor with respect to related party transactions and relationships. So this is a basic idea about SA 550. Clear? So many of you are saying that, ma'am, we have started going through the module. So Priyanka is saying, ma'am, which chapter is important? All the chapters are very, very important. And yes, you can always refer to the weightage, the last year papers. You can always see the trend. Okay? And the weightage section wise, chapter wise, that is given on the BOS knowledge portal. That can always be referred. So SA 550, and the name is what? Related parties. Right? Related parties. Okay? So this essay deals with the auditor's responsibilities regarding the related party transactions and the relationships in an audit of financial statements, right? Now I told you that essay has given a definition of related party, right? So what is that? So the first point says that the related parties as are defined by the applicable FRF. So if I talk about in case of companies, Section 2, Clause 76 to the Companies Act of the Companies Act 2013, it contains the definition of related parties. So for companies, that definition will be relevant. So if it is defined in the applicable FRF, the definition which is given in the FRF. Otherwise, SA 550 says that, let me just take you through the module, then I'll take you to the example that I mentioned. So a party that is either a related party as defined in applicable FRF, or where the applicable FRF establishes minimal or no related party requirements, that is where it is not mentioned, then a person or other entity that has control or significant influence directly or indirectly through one or more intermediaries over the reporting entity. So let us say A is the holding of B and B is the holding of C. These are what A, B, C are the companies. So a person or the other entity, so who will be considered as related party? A person or the other entity that has a control or significant influence directly or indirectly over the reporting entity. So let us assume that C is the reporting entity, that is we are conducting the audit of C. Now A is having an indirect control while B is having what? Direct control over the reporting entity. So A and B are what? The related party with respect to C. Clear? Is it clear? The second point. Another entity over which the reporting entity. So here reporting entity, our client is what? A. Has control or significance in influence directly or indirectly through one or more intermediaries, right? Over which the reporting entity. So over B, A is having control. Over C, A is having control, right? So here, if A is the reporting entity, right, then it is exercising control over B and indirectly over C. So B and C, over which, over B and C, the reporting entity is having control. So B and C becomes what? Related parties for audit of financial statements of what? A Limited, right? Now the third clause. Another entity that is under common control with the reporting entity having common controlling ownership, owners who are close family members, or common key management. So let us assume that B is the reporting entity. So now read it. Another entity that is under common control with the reporting entity. So C is under common control of A through common controlling relation ownership, owners who are close family members, or common key management. So in this case, where B is our client and B and C are under the common control of A. So A is related party of B, but C also becomes what? Related party for B company. Clear? So this is the definition given by SA 550. Otherwise, the definition as is given by the applicable FRF, the auditor needs to consider that also, right? However, entities that are under common control by the state, national, regional, or local government are not considered related unless they engage in significant transactions or share resources to a significant extent with one another. So if there are 3-4 companies under, let's say, central government, so they are under the common control, they are under central government, but as such, they will not be considered as what? Related party, unless and until in rare circumstances, they have what? Huge transaction, significant transaction, or they share resources to significant extent with one another. Okay? So what we have seen so far, that SA 550, it deals with auditor's responsibility regarding what? The related party relationships and transactions when performing an audit of financial statement. And we have seen the definition of what? Related party given by SA 550. Okay? So as such, many related party transactions are in normal course of business. So there is no higher risk of material misstatement as such. But as I've told you that the very nature of related party transaction or relationship is such that since the chances of collusion is very high, so it gives rise to what? Higher risk of material misstatement, right? Now, why there is higher risk of material misstatement? See, such related party transaction can be extensive, they can be complex. Like if you just look at this, suppose A is having a transaction with B, A is having a transaction with B. For some product, A is having a transaction with C also. C is having a transaction with B. So complex, right? So that is why the risk of material misstatement is also high, right? Now, it also might be possible that students, the accounting system, accounting information system of the client is ineffective in identifying or summarizing such related party transaction. It might be possible that the management itself is not able, they are unaware of such transaction because they are unaware as to such definition in FRF exists, right? Further, there may be related party transaction where there is what? No exchange of consideration, right? Just merely by way of book entry, such transactions have been shown. So that is why the risk of material misstatement with respect to the related party transaction is expected to be high. Now, students, I have told you that it is the responsibility of the management to prepare financial statements, right? It is the responsibility of the management to prepare financial statement as per applicable FRF, and with respect, this will apply with respect to what related party transactions also. Okay? So there are responsibilities on the management with respect to accounting, with respect to disclosure of related parties. So what is the responsibility? So let's just assume yourself in a situation whereby you are verifying the related party transaction. So what we'll do, you will ask the management give me a list of all the related party transactions. You will perform various procedures with respect to that list. You will further ask management to provide you other documents, the agreements, the invoices, all the copies to the team. The management will provide all that data. Now, if you come across any transaction which you have not which has not been disclosed to you earlier, which is not there in the list, now what will you apply? Professional skepticism. Being alert to all the situations all the time during the conduct of audit. Auditor needs to apply professional skepticism कि management ने मुझे ये transaction पहले क्यों नहीं बताया, या if a transaction with the related has happened at such a price, then why is this price different from the transactions which have been entered with other parties? So the transaction with the related party needs to be at arm's length price. That is the price at which it has been, that transaction has taken place with some other party which is not related, and the price at which the transaction is taking place with the related party, they should be same, arm's length price. कि वही transaction अगर आप किसी unrelated party के साथ करते हैं तो उसी amount पर आपकी transaction होनी चाहिए with the related party, है ना? So applying professional skepticism all the time. Further, students, there is SA 240. What is the name of SA 240? The auditor's responsibility relating to fraud in an audit of financial statement. You will be able to understand SA 240 in detail in your chapter number 5. So since the chances of fraud, collusion among the related party or in the related party transaction is high, auditor needs to consider his responsibility in terms of SA 240 also. And students, we have done inherent limitations of audit in chapter number 1, whereby in the 4th point, we have understood that the chances that the risk of material misstatement, or the chances that the auditor is not able to detect a material misstatement, is high with respect to what related parties, because let's take a situation. You send an external confirmation to a related party. Since the related party is related to the client, it may ask the client, okay, client, tell me, or party, tell me what amount should I mention in the external confirmation request. So the chances that a material misstatement may remain undetected is even more high with respect to what related party transaction. So what are the responsibilities of the auditor considering all this? First of all, management is responsible for accounting and disclosure with respect to related party transactions. So what are the responsibilities of auditor? When auditor is identifying and assessing the risk of material misstatement through understanding the entity and its environment in terms of SA 315, auditor needs to assess the risk of material misstatement with respect to related party transactions and relationships. And under SA 330, he need to determine the nature, timing, extent of his audit procedure accordingly, in order to respond to such assessed risk, right? Further, the auditor needs to consider his responsibility in terms of SA 240 also, right? Also, we have seen that there is inherent limitation of audit, that the chances of not detecting the material misstatement with respect to related parties are high. Why? See, it might be possible that management is itself unaware of existence of related party relationship or transaction. Let's say management is not aware about what all parties will be covered in the definition of the related party as per the applicable FRF. or the nature of related party transactions such that there are greater opportunity of collusion. Collusion is what? Milibhagat, है ना? Concealment or fraud, right? So what is the solution? Auditor needs to apply professional skepticism throughout the audit. So if I ask you, if I give you a question with respect to responsibilities of auditor, so first of all, it will start with what? While he's assessing the risk, SA 315. Then while he's responding to that risk, SA 330. Then you all know that fraud भी हो सकता है related party में, तो SA 240. Inherent limitations होते हैं. After that, what? The main, one of the most important responsibilities of auditor is to apply professional skepticism throughout the conduct of audit. ठीक है? Now, how to identify related party transactions, है ना? I'm telling you कि ऐसा कोई transaction है जो आपको पहले नहीं बताया गया, या कैसे पता चलेगा आपको? So there are various documents which an auditor can consider, है ना, in order to identify various related party transaction. तो देखो, पहले तो आप क्या बोलोगे? If there is applicable FRA, you will ask the management कि management जो भी आपके पास comprehensive list है of related party transaction, please provide me with the same. ठीक है? If let's say applicable FRA does not define as to what is related party, right? Then there is a definition given by this standard SA 550. You can always ask the management. You can make inquiries of management when you are conducting performing your audit procedure, risk assessment procedures under SA 315, right? That, okay, management, tell me what transaction or what parties will fall into this criteria. If management is not aware about any FRA, let's say it is a partnership firm, okay? So in that case, you can always ask the management कि management, आप मुझे बताओ, what is the entity's ownership and governance structure? What type of investments are there? है ना? What is the way the entity is structured or financed? है ना? This way you will be able to know about the related party relationships and transactions. Students, quickly tell me a quick test of all of yours. Tell me, in which chapter have you studied these 3 points? Quickly, I need answers. In which chapter have you studied? The hint is, this is with respect to SA 315 only, and obtaining the knowledge of client business. Now tell me, anyone, if anyone of you remembers? Send in your replies. So in your chapter number 2, when you've studied about auditor shall obtain the knowledge of client business while he's performing the risk assessment procedures. So nature of entity is one of the points. Remember, first point was external legal regulatory requirements. Then is nature of entity. So what is the ownership or governance structure? What type of investments are there, है ना? कहाँ पैसा इन्वेस्ट किया, किसकी कंपनी में इन्वेस्ट किया है? Way the entity is structured and financed, किसने पैसा लगाया है कंपनी में, है ना? Major shareholders कौन है? Equity based है, debt based है? So this is the way as to how to identify. And I told you that there are various documents that the auditor can always inspect in order to identify the related party transactions, like entities, income tax returns, information which are to be submitted to the regulatory authorities, है ना? For example, with respect to partnership firm, है ना, where the audit under income tax is to be conducted. So the transactions with related party under section 40A 2B of the Income Tax Act is to be given, है ना? So auditor can consider that. The shareholder registers, in order to know who are the primary shareholders. If any statement of conflict of interest from management or those charged with governance is given. So let me just take you through the module for this topic. So then records of entities, investments, and those of pension plans, contracts or agreements with key management or those charged with governance, any contracts with the directors, significant contracts or agreements not in the entity's ordinary course of business, specific invoices, correspondence with entities, professional advisors, life insurance policies, है ना? Significant contracts renegotiated by the entity. If there is a contract whereby the terms have been renegotiated, है ना? Either there is what, let's say some payment is to be made, within a period of, let's say, 3 years. Now it has been renegotiated to 5 years. Why? Apply professional skepticism. Why the other party is allowing it, or why the client is allowing this to the other party? Apply professional skepticism. The internal auditor's report, Hana, document associated with entities filing with the security regulator like the prospectus. So all these documents the auditor can always peruse in order to see as to, in order to identify the related party relationships and transactions. So a very basic, a very logical essay that related party transactions say auditor ko kya karna hai. So as such, when conducting an audit, there is no problem ki related party transaction kyun hai. Related party transaction can be there, है ना? But it should be presented. It should be disclosed in the financial statement as per the applicable FRF. और वो present कौन करता है? Management. तो auditor को यही check करना है कि whether management has presented that or not. So a very small essay, a very easy, a logical, a practical essay. So we will just quickly go through the module. Meanwhile, you all can send in your queries. And yes, Priyanka, Sapna, Sankaran, Harshita, Ramachandran, Anand, Aman, Pranav, Jyoti, Varsha, Yatiraj. Like you all have absolutely answered it correctly that you have studied that topic in chapter number 2. Alok, Dhyanesh and Jyoti. Okay? And Alok, which point you want to me explain again? Please send the page number also. Okay? So, related party, essay 550. It deals with the auditor's responsibility regarding the related party relationships. So related party relationships and the related party transactions in an audit of financial statement. So the definition says that a related party as defined in the applicable FRF, or where the applicable FRF establishes minimal or no requirement, that is where it is not mentioned, then a person or other entity that has control or significant influence directly or indirectly through one or intermediaries over the reporting entity. So C is the reporting entity here. Another entity over which reporting entity has significant control or significant influence directly or indirectly through one or more intermediaries. So A is the reporting entity here. Another entity that is under common control with the reporting entity through having common controlling ownership, owners who are close family members, or common key management. Now, it is mentioned that many related transactions are in normal course of business. They carry, as such, they carry no higher risk of material misstatement. However, the nature of related party transaction and relationships may in some circumstances give higher risk of material misstatement than transaction with unrelated parties. Why? Related party transaction may operate. See, students, you can always get a 3-mark question that why the risk of material misstatement with respect to related party transaction is higher as compared to the transaction with unrelated party. So these examples can be mentioned. Related parties may operate through extensive and complex range of relationship structures with increase in the complexity of related party transaction. See, there may be layers. A is having a transaction with B, further it is having transaction with subsidiary of B, right? So that is why complex extensive transactions, so which may increase what? Complexity of related party transactions. The information systems may be ineffective in identifying or summarizing transaction or outstanding balances between an entity and its related party. And they may not be conducted under normal market terms and conditions. For example, some related party transaction may be conducted with no exchange of transactions. Okay? So what are the responsibilities? So this paragraph says that first of all, it is the responsibility of the management. So there are specific accounting and disclosure requirements for related party relationships, transaction balances to enable the users of financial statement to understand their nature and effects of financial statement. The auditor has the responsibility to perform audit procedure to identify assets. So identify assets कहाँ करते हैं? essay 315 में. And respond कहाँ करते हैं हम? essay 330 में. Clear? To the risk of material misstatement and arising from the entity's failure to appropriately account for related party relationship transactions or balances. है ना? So ultimately auditor को क्या बताना है? That whether financial statement reflected true and fair view and also with respect to what? Related party Further, it says, so what is the name of SA 240? I have told you that. I mentioned it here. The auditor's responsibility relating to the audit in an audit of, sorry, the auditor's responsibility relating to the fraud in an audit of financial statement. Okay? So it says that an understanding of entities related party transaction is relevant to the auditor's evaluation of whether fraud factors are present as required by SA 240. This is because fraud may be more easily committed through related parties. Why? Because they are known to each other, right? Owing to the inherent limitations of audit. So students, see, many of you were saying, ma'am, how to learn, how to remember, because it often happens that after the session, everything is mixed up. See, if I ask you about the responsibilities of the auditor with respect to related party, तो क्या आता है माइंड में? पहले आता है 315 में आइडेंटिफाई एंड असेस करेंगे, फिर रिस्पॉन्ड करेंगे 330 में. Further, auditor को basically क्या बताना है? That whether financial statement reflected true and fair view. Since fraud can be committed, so SA 240 and then that inherent limitations are always there. Right? So उसका solution क्या बताया था मैंने कि professional skepticism apply करना है. Now what is professional skepticism? Inherent limitation क्या है? 240 क्या है? या 315 क्या है? 330 है. अब तो it should be in your blood now. Like you should be able to write on your own. That what 315 में पता है कि identify and assess the risk of material misstatement through understanding the entity and its environment करना है. So here you will mention with respect to related party transactions, है ना? So owing to inherent limitations for an audit, there is an unavoidable risk that the material misstatement of financial statement may not be detected, though the audit is properly planned, performed in accordance with SA. In context of related parties, the potential effect of inherent limitations on the auditor's ability to detect material misstatement are greater. So you may get a question, why the auditor's ability to detect material misstatement with respect to related party, why the potential effect of inherent limitations on the auditor's ability to detect material misstatement are greater. So what is the reason? That management may be unaware of the existence of all related party relationships. The related party relationship must present greater opportunity for collusion, concealment or manipulation by management. तो क्या solution है? Audit ना करें? नहीं, audit तो करना ही है. Expert opinion तो देना ही है. Report तो देना ही है. Professional skepticism during the course of audit लगाओ ना. So planning and performing an audit with professional skepticism is required by SA 200 is therefore particularly more important in this context. Or you may get a question that why applying professional skepticism while verifying the related party transaction is more required. Why? Because you will say that there are inherent limitations. The potential effect of inherent limitations is more with respect to such transactions because management may be unaware or there may be greater opportunity of collusion and all. The requirement in this essay are designed to assist the auditor in identifying and assessing the risk of material misstatement. Now, how to identify? First of all, if applicable FRF है, so management must have prepared a comprehensive list of the related parties, Hana. So you may ask the management to provide you with that list, Hana. If you have obtained any list last year also, then check that list with the list that you have obtained in the last year audit. Okay? If, however, such FRF does not provide, then see if FRF is not provided, then still it is a responsibility on the auditor to consider if there are any related party transactions. So consider the definition that is set out in this essay. Make inquiries of management. कि management बताओ कि कौन-कौन सी transactions हैं जो इस definition में fall करती हैं. For this, under SA 315, auditor may ask the information regarding entities, ownership and governance structure, types of investment, the way the entity's finance is structured as it is from chapter number 2, nature of entity. Right? So any significant transaction or any sharing of resources to a significant degree, management must be aware about that now, then ask the management. Now, what are the documents that can be verified? Entities, income tax return, information supplied to entity, regulatory authority, shareholder registers, and all these documents that we have discussed earlier. Okay? So with this, we have completed essay 550. बहुत ही छोटा सा simple सा essay था and बहुत ही simple logic है. अगर अपने आप को इस situation में visualize करोगे that you are कंडक्टिंग द ऑडिट ऑफ द कंपनी, और आपको रिलेटेड पार्टी ट्रांजैक्शन देखना है। तो सबसे पहले आप क्या करोगे, SC 315 में देखोगे, SC 330 में रिस्पॉन्ड करोगे, SC 240 के अकॉर्डिंग भी अपनी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज देखोगे। सिंस इनहेरेंट लिमिटेशंस, पोटेंशियल इफेक्ट ज्यादा होता है, तो क्या करना है, प्रोफेशनल स्केप्टिसिज्म अप्लाई करना है, दैट्स इट। क्या क्या डॉक्यूमेंट्स वेरीफाई कर सकते हो आप, ये ऑल 12 डॉक्यूमेंट्स कैन बी वेरीफाइड, राइट? सो क्विकली सेंड इन योर रिप्लाई, इज इट क्लियर? Is it clear, students? I need your replies. So whose doubt is this? Alok, 3.60. So it is basically saying, so Alok has asked me to explain this point again. Another entity to related party definition may, third point is what? So here C is our client, reporting entity, client, reporting entity. So another entity, matlab B in this case, that is under common control with the reporting entity through having common controlling ownership. So who is controlling C here? A. And B is also been controlled by A. So it is under what? Common controlling ownership. Okay? Or let's say B, just a minute. B is having directors, let's say, just a minute, let me just take you through that word file. So A, B, and C. So this is the reporting entity. It is under direct control of other entity. Other entity is what? B. Okay? Or let's say B is under direct control of, let's say, the director is Mr. A here. And with respect to C, director is Mrs. B here. Right? So close family members or common key management. Directors are common. Hana? So these are what? Since, see, basically purpose kya hai? That one company is able to significantly influence the decisions of the other company, or one person is able to significantly influence the decisions of both these companies. So they become what? Related entities. So they become what? Related. So Alok, Mr. Alok, is it clear? So Sankaran, Varsha, Jyoti, Tanisha, everyone is saying ma'am it is clear. Priyanka is saying ma'am it is crystal clear. See, Mr. Ramachandra, if there is related party transactions and they are as per the applicable FRF, they are as per the arm's length price. So as such, it is not going to impact the auditor's opinion. But since it is one of it, this is an area which may pose what? Significant risk. Because related है ना party, ऐसा हो सकता है ना collusion करके ये कुछ fraud कर रहे हो. Let's say the company, my company client is A Limited. A Limited has sold certain goods to unrelated parties, let's say at rupees 5 crore. Same value of goods the company has sold to another party at 2 crore, which is a related party. Now why? Right? So when such is a situation, when auditor finds that okay, there are chances of fraud, then there will be an impact on the auditor's opinion. As such, I told you कि related party है, उसकी वजह से थोड़ी ना opinion गलत दे देंगे. Yeah, you will say that financial statement do not reflect a true and fair view. Related party होना is not गलत. Related party transaction होना या relationship होना is not wrong. But if it is not as per the applicable FRF, it is not at the arm's length price, then the auditor needs to perform further audit procedure and applying professional skepticism, applying his professional judgment, he need to consider the effect on his opinion. Okay? So, Mr. Ramachandra, is it clear? Is it clear? So, Yathiraj, the shareholding pattern and everything is mentioned there, na? So that is why it will help. That who are the major shareholders, Hana? Who can influence the decisions of the company, right? So is it clear, everyone? Yatiraj and Mr. Ramachandra, please send in your reply ki clear hai. Okay? Now we'll be starting with the next essay. That is essay 560. on subsequent event. Students, today the essays that we are doing now, essay 550, 560 and 570, you will see that the basic idea is same, that as per the applicable FRF, there are certain requirements on the management. An auditor needs to consider whether management has complied with that or not. अगर comply किया है तो there will be no effect on the audit report. Comply नहीं किया तो auditor will consider the impact. Like after performing audit procedures, after discussing with the management, still अगर apply नहीं हो रहा है, then auditor needs to consider that in his while giving his auditor's report. Yes, transactions with related party transaction need to be disclosed. Whose query is this? Ch-3, Mr. Ch-3. So if you remember, I started my discussion with respect to related party with AS 18 only, that it requires certain disclosure with respect to related party transactions. Section 188 of the Companies Act, that board resolution is required or members resolution is required if the transaction with related parties beyond certain amount. सेम में सेक्शन 177 से अकाउंटिंग ऑडिट कमेटी का अप्रूवल चाहिए. तो ऑडिटर को यही सब चेक करना है कि ये सब हुआ या नहीं हुआ, देन ऑडिटर विल कंसीडर द इम्पैक्ट ऑन द ऑडिट एंड द ऑडिटर्स रिपोर्ट. ठीक है, इज इट क्लियर? Is it clear? Chalo. Now let us start with essay 560, which is what? Subsequent events. Students, as I've told you that in all these essays that we are covering today, you will see that there are certain disclosure requirements, or some other requirements that are there with respect to preparation and presentation of financial statements, which is imposed on the management. Auditor needs to consider whether that has been properly done in the financial statements or not. If it is done, then it is fine. If it is not done, auditor will discuss with the management. He'll perform certain audit procedure and then he'll consider the effect on his assessed risk of material misstatement or his procedures. And after performing all those procedures, he'll consider the effect on the auditor's report. Clear? So is it clear? So now the next essay is essay 560. Subsequent events. Okay. Now, let us try to understand as to why we are studying this essay. है ना? तो हम ऐसे ही पढ़ते हैं ना कि पहले क्यों पढ़ना है ये topic, and then we'll try to understand as to what is contained in this essay. Okay. Now, students, let's say the auditor is conducting the audit for the financial year. Just a minute. For the financial year 2021-22, that is for the year ending 31st March 2022. Okay? Now 31st March, the balance sheet will be drawn as on 31st March 2022, and P&L shall be made for the year ending 31st March 2022. So 31st March 2022 is what? Date of financial statement. Okay? Now tell me, when the auditor is signing the audit report, he's putting a signature there and the date of the audit report. Now tell me, till what date the auditor is responsible the auditor is responsible to consider when he's giving his opinion. So let's say in our example, 31st March 22 is the date of financial statement, and the auditor signs his audit report on 31st July 2022, right? So this essay, the name is what? Subsequent events. So it talks about the events. Subsequent matlab baad mein. Kiske baad? After the date of financial statement, jo events hain. What are the responsibilities of the auditor with respect to those events? देखो financial statement तो 21-22 के थे ना, that is from 1st April 2021 till 31st March 2022 के events transactions को auditor ने consider किया. but he's signing his report on 31st July 2022. So the event subsequent to the date of the financial statement, usme what is the responsibility of the auditor? Now this period, that is date, event subsequent to the date of the financial statement. So this essay divides this period into two parts, है ना? That is this A period and B period. So subsequent events are what? Events occurring between, like after the date of financial statement, but before the date of audit report, and the facts that became known to the auditor after the date of audit report. So we will study about the responsibility of the auditor with respect to all such events and facts by dividing this period into two parts. ठीक है? अगर up to next audit report auditor का responsibility है students, फिर तो कभी audit complete ही नहीं होएगा ना, ज्योति, है ना? Right? So let us try to understand. So first of all, this essay deals with the auditor's responsibility relating to subsequent events in an audit of financial statement, है ना? पर उससे पहले हम समझते हैं कि subsequent events होते क्या हैं, ठीक है? So let me just take you through the module for the definition of subsequent events given by essay 560. So subsequent events are the events occurring between the date of financial statement and the date of auditor's report. तो पहले अपने diagram में हम ये देखते हैं. Occurring after the date of financial statement, है ना? क्या लिखा है देखो? Between the date of financial statement and date of auditor's report. So the events occurring here in this pin portion. And what is the next? Just a minute. And facts that became known to the auditor after the date of auditor's report. So this period. Further, when we will be studying the provisions with respect to this B period now, students, you will see that this period is also divided into two parts. That is, from the date of auditor's report till the date of issue of financial statement and after the date of issue of financial statement. So what is date of financial statement? The last date at which the balance sheet is drawn up, right? Date of audit report is what? The date when the auditor signs his audit report. Now, why this date is so important? So in terms of SA 700, when you will be studying about SA 700 in your chapter number 11, you will study this, that the date of audit report informs the reader that the auditor has considered the effect of events and transactions of which the auditor is aware and that occurred up to that date. देखो, students, it might be possible now that 31st March 2022 को financial statements were closed, right? Auditor is signing his report on 31st July 2022. But when he's signing his report on 31st July 2022, in this period, certain events have happened which might have an impact here, which need some adjustment to be made in financials of financial year 21-22, or that need some disclosure. You all must be aware about accounting standard 4. Hana? There are certain adjusting events. There are certain non-adjusting events. Hana? So when auditor is signing his report, before that अगर कोई event होता है जिसका या तो adjustment करना जरूरी है financial statement 2020, 21-22 में, या जिसका disclosure is required, see, auditor needs to consider that ना, because SA 700 says that when the auditor is putting a date, it signifies that auditor has considered the events up to that date. तो अगर ऐसा कुछ यहाँ पर हुआ है, events between the date of financial statement and the date of auditor report, so auditor he shall perform ऑडिट प्रोसीजर टू ऑब्टेन सफिशिएंट एप्रोप्रिएट ऑडिट एविडेंस, क्योंकि यहाँ पर तो अभी ऑडिट रिपोर्ट आपने एज सच किसी को नहीं दिया है ना, मैनेजमेंट को भी नहीं दिया ना, अभी तो आपने साइन ही किया है ना। तो अगर आपको कोई रिपोर्ट चेंज करना भी पड़ जाता है तो इट इज विद इन द हैंड्स ऑफ द ऑडिटर ओनली, है ना, ऑडिटर्स के ही तो हाथ में है ना। सो ऑडिटर शुड परफॉर्म व्हाट्स audit procedure to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence, है ना। So I told you that events after the date of financial statement can be the events those provide evidence of condition that existed at the date of financial statement. For example, 31st March 2022 and after that some event happened, है ना। So let's say some litigation was going on here, है ना, उसका outcome आ जाता है। So that condition existed as on 31st March 2022. So whether that event needs to be adjusted, and the events that provide evidence of condition that arose after the date of financial statement. So 31st March 2022 is the date of financial statement. After that, let's say a fire broke out in the factory. So as such, the condition did not exist, है ना? But let's say it is a major fire, so the disclosure might be required. Here, the adjustment might be required. So auditor needs to consider whether this has been appropriately done by the management or not. Clear? Is it clear? ठीक है. Now, what are the objectives of the auditor in terms of SA 560? है ना? आपको date of financial statement भी पता चल गया, date of auditor's report भी पता चल गया, subsequent events भी पता चल गया. Date of issue of financial statement हम अभी रुक कर discuss करेंगे. ठीक है. Now this is talking about what? Adjusting events and non-adjusting events, and SA 700 signifies as to what is the significance of date of auditor's report. कि जब auditor sign कर रहा है ना, तो he is informing it to the users that I have considered the events and the transactions that have occurred up to that date. Clear है? तो quickly send in a reply कि यहाँ तक clear है. Then we'll proceed further. ठीक है. Now what are the objectives of the auditor? ठीक है. देखो students, let us go back to our diagram. See, I told you that till 31st March, let me just change the color of my, ठीक है. So till 31st July 2022 ऑडिट रिपोर्ट अभी साइन कर रहे हैं, है ना. तो इससे पहले तो जो भी इवेंट्स हुए बिटवीन द डेट ऑफ फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट एंड डेट ऑफ ऑडिट रिपोर्ट, तो अभी तो ऑडिट रिपोर्ट साइन हो रही है ना. सो ऑडिटर शुड परफॉर्म व्हाट्स audit procedures to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence with respect to these events or transactions, है ना, because date signifies that auditor has considered the events and transactions up to this date, है ना. अब यहाँ पर ऑडिटर ने रिपोर्ट दे दिया है ना. तो with respect to the events, the facts that the auditor has become aware after the date of audit report, तो इसके लिए what is the objective that is mentioned is to respond appropriately. और वो कैसे respond करेंगे we will see in the later part of this essay. ठीक है. So to respond appropriately. So what are the objectives? So देखो, to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence for the events between date of financial statement and date of audit report, that is the A period, whether any adjustment required or disclosure required, whether that has been appropriately reflected or not. Clear? With respect to period B, that is after the date of audit report, so to respond appropriately, यहाँ पर तो आपको ऑडिट प्रोसीजर करके सफिशिएंट एप्रोप्रिएट ऑडिट एविडेंस खुद से लेना ही है. सीओ मोटो आपको ऑडिट प्रोसीजर्स करने ही है. To respond appropriately to the facts known to the auditor after the date of audit report, that had been, if such facts had been known to the auditor at that time, the auditor would have caused the auditor to amend the audit report. Now, what is this? We will discuss it later on, है ना. अभी first part is clear, because अभी audit report final date आप sign कर रहे हो ना, उससे पहले पता चल गया, तो फिर तो auditor should perform sufficient appropriate audit evidence and consider it when he is giving his report. ठीक है. Now, what are the audit procedures between the date of financial statement and date of audit report? That is period A. So what are the audit procedures? Simple. Auditor will perform audit procedure. He'll obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence that all events that require adjustment or disclosure have been identified. अब वो कैसे करेंगे? Logically सोचो, practically सोचो, आपको समझ आ जाएगा कि what all audit procedures auditor needs to consider. देखो. Now, when you are signing the audit report, before that, you want to know whether all the events and transactions that needed the adjustment or the disclosure as per the applicable FRF, whether that has been done or not. Quickly tell me, किससे पूछोगे ये बात? Quickly tell me, किससे पूछोगे ये बात कि whether ऐसा हो गया है या नहीं? तो उसी से पूछोगे ना जिसकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है फॉर प्रिपरेशन एंड प्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट, है ना? तो मैनेजमेंट से पूछोगे. You will understand, you will obtain an understanding of the procedure of management to identify such events. आप management से पूछोगे ना कि management आप कैसे identify कर रहे हो that whether all such events and transactions have been considered, है ना? You will what? You will obtain an understanding of the management procedure to identify such events. कि management क्या procedure है, कौन team है, क्या working करते हैं वो, ठीक है? You will inquire the management कि management ऐसे कोई events हैं. Let's say certain litigation was going on in the financial year 21-22. उसका outcome came on, let's say 30th June. है ना? So you will inquire the management. What is the outcome? What are the implications? How will it affect the financial statement? है ना? Then you may inspect the minutes of the meetings. So whatever minutes subsequent to the date of financial statement are conducted, so you will refer to what? The minutes of such meetings. है ना? कोई meeting हुई है with respect to financial year 21-22. When you will peruse the minutes of the meeting, you will be able to know about such events or transactions, right? Further, the auditor can also peruse the interim financial statements of that company. What is interim? Like, which is not related to full year, quarterly. So let's say here 31st जुलाई को साइन कर रहे हैं ना, तो उससे पहले 30th जून के फाइनेंशियल्स भी तो देख सकते हैं ना, इंटरिम फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स. वहां पर दैट इफेक्ट मस्ट हैव बीन कंसीडर्ड बाय द मैनेजमेंट, सो ऑडिटर नीड्स टू कंसीडर दैट, है ना? So moto say I wanted to say that here auditor will perform the audit procedures on his own to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence, है ना? करने ही पड़ेंगे before the date of what? Audit report, है ना? So what are the audit procedure? He'll obtain an understanding of the procedures of management to ensure such events have been identified. He'll inquire management, those charged with governance. He'll read the minutes of the meeting held after the date of financial statement. He'll read the entity's latest subsequent interim report. देखो latest, subsequent से मैंने क्या बताया था? Subsequent to the date of financial statement. तो कौन सा आएगा? 30th June. Interim, quarterly or half yearly financial statement, and most importantly auditor will obtain what? Written representation. We have studied it in essay 580 that the essays may require the auditor to obtain written representation, though written representation on its own is not a sufficient appropriate audit evidence, but yes, it is a necessary audit evidence. Now a quick test for all of you. Quickly tell me, we have studied one more essay that specifically required the auditor to obtain written representation. Quickly, I need answers. We have done that in the last session. I'm waiting for replies, then only I'll proceed. Students send in your replies. What is that essay that required the auditor? Or tell me with respect to verification of what the auditor should obtain written representation, and it is the responsibility given in one of the essays. ज्योति ऐसे 580 तो बोलता है कि रिटर्न रिप्रेजेंटेशन क्या होता है ना, एंड इट सेज कि रिटर्न रिप्रेजेंटेशन रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज के लिए लेते हैं या एसेज अगर स्पेसिफाई करें. सो आई एम आस्किंग लाइक दिस ऐसे 560 स्पेसिफिकली asking the auditor to take written representation. In the last session, we have done another essay whereby there was specific responsibility on the auditor to obtain written representation from the management. Khojima and Alok absolutely correct. With respect to litigations and claims, है ना, वहां था ना, obtain written representation from the management that all known and possible litigations and claims have been disclosed the way they are supposed to be disclosed in the financial statement. Remember? ठीक है. So here also the auditor will what? Obtain a written representation from the management. So let us quickly have a look. So audit procedures regarding events occurring between the date of financial statement and date of auditor's report, that is the period A in our diagram. So the auditor shall perform audit procedure designed to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence that all events occurring between the date of financial statement and date of auditor's report that require adjustment if they are adjusting events or disclosure if they are non-adjusting events in the financial statement have been identified. ठीक है. The auditor is, however, not expected to perform additional audit procedures on matters to which previously applied audit procedures has provided satisfactory conclusions. Students, it might be possible now that with respect to any subsequent event, which though might have occurred later on after the date of financial statement, but when auditor was planning, performing his audit, he has considered that event. He had certain knowledge about that. He has already performed certain audit procedures with respect to that while planning and performing the audit. So then he need not perform it again. Okay? Now, how to know whether such events have been identified? Auditor will obtain an understanding of any procedures management has established to ensure that subsequent events are identified. Inquiring of management, those charged with governance, with respect to any events that have occurred which might affect the financial statement. Reading the minutes, if any, of the meetings of the entities, owner, management, those charged with governance. And inquiring about the matters with respect to what minutes of meetings not available. जिसके minutes available नहीं है वो management से discuss कर लो. जिस meetings के minutes are available, go through them. Reading the entity's latest subsequent interim financial statement. ठीक है. So when, as a result of procedures performed as required above, the auditor identifies events that require adjustments or disclosure, the auditor shall determine whether each such event is appropriately reflected on those financial statement. तो अगर कोई event ऐसा है तो उसमें कोई problem नहीं है, but वो whether that has been properly reflected in the financial statement as required by applicable FRF. So you may get a straightforward question that with respect to the subsequent events, what all audit procedures the auditor needs to perform. Okay? So auditor needs to perform all these procedures. Is it clear? Okay. Now we have seen that auditor will be obtaining what? Written representation that all events occurring subsequent to the date of financial statement and for which applicable FRF requires adjustments or disclosure have been adjusted or disclosed. Is it clear? Students, send in your replies. Okay, Sankaran, now we'll be discussing about that B period. So I hope this A period is clear. तो A period में देखो एक लॉजिक है, सिंपल सा लॉजिक है ना, कि अभी ऑडिट रिपोर्ट has not yet been signed, like the auditor is going to sign it. तो उससे पहले कोई भी इवेंट्स है या ट्रांजैक्शन है, तो सिंस ऐसे 700 के अकॉर्डिंग द डेट ऑफ ऑडिट रिपोर्ट सिग्निफाइज दैट ऑल द इवेंट्स एंड ट्रांजैक्शंस अप टू दैट डेट हैज बीन कंसीडर्ड. सो ऑडिटर विल परफॉर्म ऑडिट प्रोसीजर टू ऑब्टेन सफिशिएंट एप्रोप्रिएट ऑडिट एविडेंस कि कोई भी इवेंट या ट्रांजैक्शन जिसकी एडजस्टमेंट होना चाहिए था वो एडजस्ट हो गया है, जिसको डिस्क्लोज करना चाहिए था वो डिस्क्लोज हो गया है. कैसे करना है वो? By obtaining an understanding of procedures of management to identify such events, inquiring management, those charged with governance, reading the minutes of meetings held after the date of financial statement, and reading the entity's latest subsequent financial statement and obtaining WR. देखो एक आपका आंसर प्रिपेयर हो गया ना, है ना? So objective क्या होगा? To obtain what? Sufficient appropriate audit evidence. ठीक है. Now with respect to this B period, है ना? So let me just make this diagram again. तो हमने ये क्या पढ़ा था? So 31st March 2022 is what? Date of financial statements. And this was what? Date of auditor's report, which was what? 31st July 2022. Now we are talking about this B period. ठीक है. And यहाँ पर मैंने मार्क किया था date of issue of financial statement. So what is the issuance of financial statement? So what was the date? 31st August. So when, just a minute, 31st August. Now यहाँ तक कोई इवेंट होता है तो ऑडिटर को सफिशिएंट एप्रोप्रिएट ऑडिट एविडेंस लेना है, 4 ऑडिट प्रोसीजर्स करने हैं, रिटन रिप्रेजेंटेशन लेना है. ठीक है. दिस इज द समरी, है ना? Now with respect to the events happening in the facts that the auditor became aware with respect to the period from the date of audit report, and this period is divided into now 2 parts. So B1 and B2. ठीक है. Now after the date of audit report, but before the date the financial statements are issued. And the second period is after the date of issue of financial statement. So what is meant by date of issue of financial statement? So the date when the audit report and the audited financial statement are made available to the third party. है ना? जब भी such financial statement, audited financial statement and auditor's report are made available to the third party. So it means what? Date of issuance of financial statement. Whenever such financial statement are, let's say, given to the bankers, let's say it is given to the banker, or they are presented to what? Shareholders. So this is what? Issuance of financial statement. है ना? So what is the responsibility of the auditor? So this essay says that as such, after the date of audit report, there is no responsibility of on the auditor to perform audit procedures. तो कुछ अलग से परफॉर्म नहीं करना. देखो यहाँ पर तो हमने बता दिया कि क्योंकि आपने रिपोर्ट नहीं दी है, you haven't given the report now, and SA 700 के according this date is very significant. You need to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence with respect to this period. But here the facts that the auditor became aware after the date of audit report, let's say certain litigation with respect to financial year 21-22 was going on. Okay? And after the date of audit report, in the news, the auditor he heard about the outcome of such limitation. So as such, he is not performing any audit procedure. But this fact, now try to understand that language that is used. So what is the second part of the definition? The facts that became known to the auditor after the date of audit report, someone told the auditor, he came across this news when he was watching the news channel, है ना? Facts that became known to the auditor. So उसके लिए what is the objective? To respond appropriately to the facts that became known to the auditor after the date of audit report. कोई भी fact नहीं. Such a significant fact that had that fact been known to the auditor at that date, at the date of audit report, it may have caused the auditor to amend the auditor's report. अगर ये बात date of audit report पे पता होती, the auditor would have given a different audit report. इतना significant कोई fact अगर आपको पता चलता है. So as such, there is no responsibility to perform audit procedures कि मैं audit procedures करूं in order to know कि to obtain sufficient appropriate audit. So essay says, see, it is mentioned here. So let me just take you through the module. So the auditor had no obligation to perform any audit procedure regarding the financial statement after the date of auditor's report. However, when after the date of auditor's report, but before the date of financial statements are issued, so abhi this is what talking about B1 period, but we will see that B2 may be almost same, will follow. A fact becomes known to the auditor that had it been known to the auditor at the date of auditor's report कि 31st July 2022 को पता चल जाता, it may have caused the auditor to amend the auditor's report. अगर auditor ने अभी लिखा है that financial statement reflect a true and fair view, might be auditor would have given qualified or adverse report. Remember, we have discussed about qualified, adverse, disclaimer, opinion in short in the last session, है ना? तो जो भी opinion दिया है वो auditor modify करता. So, क्या करना है ऑडिटर को? He will discuss with the management. He will ask the management. See, it is mentioned there. Auditor will discuss the matter with the management and where appropriate, those charged with governance. Determine whether the financial statement need amendment, and if so, inquire how management intends to address the matter in the financial statement. तो अगर ऐसी कोई news आती है, auditor will ask the management that management, now that litigation outcome is there, है ना, and you have lost that case, now tell me. Discuss the matter with the management, and auditor will determine as to whether an amendment needs to be made in the financial statement, and he will inquire the management as to how they intend, whether they are deciding to amend the financial statements or they are not amending the financial statement. Okay. Now the second part, this was with respect to B1 period, that is before the date the financial statements are issued. Okay. That is in our diagram till here. Hana? Now you will see that with respect to this period also, that after the financial statements have been issued, same will follow. That as such, the auditor is not required to perform any procedures. But if any fact has come to his knowledge, which if would have been known to the auditor before the date of auditor's report or at that date, it would have led to amendment in the auditor's report. The auditor shall discuss the matter with the management. He will determine whether financial statement need amendment and inquire how management intends to address the matter. Then why there is a difference of B1 and B2? Hana? Why two separate periods have been mentioned in this essay? So there are certain, see, this is one auditor's obligation regarding subsequent events. Hana? So as such, with respect to the reporting part, that is, what will be the impact on auditor's report? Hana? So that is not in your syllabus at the inter level, but it is in your finals. Okay? So you might feel that ye dono matter same likhe hue, but there is some difference, which is though not in your module as such, but we will just have a discussion. Dekho. We are discussing what? About period B, that is after the date of audit report. Auditor को कुछ पता चलता है, जब auditor ने अपनी audit report दे दी है, then after that he becomes aware about a fact that is so significant that had it been known to the auditor at the date of the audit report, it would have led him to cause the auditor to amend the auditor's report. Just let's say कोई outcome आ गया of a litigation whereby the company has to pay some compensation. And that compensation is such a huge amount because let's say it was a very old litigation and there was interest, penalties, everything, that it will result in the company having losses in the P&L. Right now, before that litigation, the company was, the financial statement reflecting what? Profits. Or let's say litigation, the company has lost that litigation and it may have a severe impact on the financial statements. Okay? Now, auditor will ask the management, ये सब करेगा ना, auditor discuss करना है matter, determine करना है whether an amendment is required, and auditor will ask the management how they intend to address the matter. So after this is in your CA finals, which is not in your book. Same way, after this is in your CA finals, which is not in your book, but we will just quickly discuss in order to just have a knowledge. देखो, if management amends the financial statement, कि ठीक है, after the date of audit report, when auditor is having a discussion with the management and management says, yes, okay, if there is an amendment, we will, if there is this fact, we will definitely amend the financial statement. So if management agrees to amend the financial statement, auditor will also provide what? New audit report or the amended audit report depending upon the situation. What are the situation? वो CA final में discuss करेंगे. ठीक है? If management is not agreeing, the auditor feels that amendment should have been made, but management is not agreeing. So auditor will ask the management ki management then do not provide my audit report with the financial statement, I'll provide you with the new report. Clear? ठीक है. Now let's say management issues such financial statements and your audit report also, though you have asked them not to issue that. Then what is the responsibilities on the auditor? So auditor will take appropriate actions to prevent the reliance on such audit report, right? Let's say such audit report and the audited financial statements which were not based on amended, because amendment to kiya hi nahi management ne, they were given to bank, है ना? So auditor may write a letter to the bank explaining the fact, and further auditor can always take legal advice as to how to proceed, right? This was about B1 period. Now with respect to B2 period, that the financial statements have been issued, है ना? See, the earlier topic I discussed about B1 period where financial statement as such were not issued. तो वहां पर auditor will ask the management कि अब आप issue मत करो, I'll provide you with the new audit report, है ना? Still management issue कर देता है, तो auditor will take what appropriate actions in order to make sure that, in order to prevent the reliance on his audit report. ठीक है? Now in this B2 period where the financial statements have been issued and after that, that is issued का क्या मतलब है, they have been made available to a third party, and after that a fact came to the knowledge of the auditor. Now what he'll do, he'll discuss with the management, he'll determine whether amendment is required, he'll inquire as to how management intends, है ना? अगर management कह देता है okay we will amend it, है ना? Though this will happen in rarest and rare of circumstances. So auditor will also carry out the procedures, है ना? And he will review what steps management has taken, है ना, in order to inform all those who were in receipt of the earlier audited financial statement. Because अब तो issue हो चुका है ना, तो management अगर amend कर रहा है तो management will also take certain steps ना, कि they should not rely, or they are informed कि एक new amended financial statements and new audit report आने वाला है, ठीक है? And again if management disagrees, the auditor needs to take appropriate action. Auditor may take what legal advice, ठीक है? So as this is not in your syllabus, but if management, so एक basic सा क्या है, अगर management भी amend करने के लिए मान जाता है तो management amended financial statement देगा, आप new report या amended report दे देंगे. Management नहीं मानता, then take appropriate actions and take the legal advice, ठीक है? Is it clear? Is it clear? So let us just quickly put together essay 560, whatever points we have discussed. बहुत simple सा है, एक short में फटाफट से पढ़ते हैं, and then we will take a break, and after that the last essay of this chapter, essay 570, ठीक है? देखो auditor and the subsequent events, ठीक है? So subsequent events को पहले तो दो parts में divide किया है, up to the date of, like events occurring between the date of financial statement and date of auditor's report, and facts that became known to the auditor after the date of auditor's report. अब date of auditor's report क्या होता है, जब auditor financial statement के ऊपर sign करके date लिखता है. As per SA 700, such date is of importance. Why? Because it signifies to the readers, it informs the readers that the auditor has considered the effect of events and transactions of which the auditor becomes aware and that occurred up to that date, है ना? तो इसलिए जो ये पहले वाले पार्ट के events हैं, that is from the date of financial statement, between the date of financial statement, date of auditor's report, तो यहाँ पर तो auditor को sufficient appropriate audit evidence obtain करना ही है, that whether अगर adjustment required था या disclosure required था, whether that has been done or not, right? How? By performing procedures like obtaining understanding of management procedure to identify such events, inquiring management, those charged with governance, reading the minutes, interim financial statements, and written representation. Simple है, ठीक है? ठीक है? Is it clear? ये हमारा हो गया, ठीक है? Now with respect to the events after the date of auditor's report, so as such, the auditor has no obligation to perform audit procedures regarding the financial statements after the date of auditor's report, है ना? But however, if any fact after the date of auditor's report, but before the date the financial statements are issued, a fact becomes known to the auditor. I told you that he was watching the news and he came across that some uh, outcome of that litigation is there, है and it is so significant that had it been known to the auditor at the date of auditor's report, it may have caused the auditor to amend the auditor's report. Then he shall discuss it with the management, those charged with governance. He'll determine whether financial statement need amendment and inquire how management intends to address the same. Depending upon whether management is amending or not, auditor will consider the impact, whether new amended audit report has to be taken or whether to take appropriate legal action. Okay. Facts that became known to the auditor after the financial statements have been issued. अब तो issue भी हो गया, बट वो अगर इतना सिग्निफिकेंट है तो डिस्कस तो करना ही है, मैनेजमेंट से पूछना है कि आप क्या कर रहे हो, कंसीडर करना है कि अमेंड होना है नहीं. सो व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन पॉइंट नंबर 1 and 2? Either auditor will also see whether he will also review the steps that management has taken in order to make sure that all those who are in receipt of the report, earlier report and earlier financial statements, whether they are informed or not. यही difference है, otherwise the procedures are same. ठीक है? So now tell me, is stage B clear in particular, and also tell me whether entire SA 560 clear है. देखो लॉजिकली सोचना, कुछ भी नहीं है. SA 550 में क्या है, एप्लीकेबल एफआरएफ कुछ बोलता है मैनेजमेंट को करने के लिए, वेदर वो किया है नहीं, उसके लिए क्या ऑडिट प्रोसीजर्स है, उसके लिए क्या डॉक्यूमेंट्स ऑडिटर कैन वेरीफाई. 560 में क्या है, सब्सिक्वेंट इवेंट्स. आपका अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड 4, अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड 29 विल कम इनटू पिक्चर हियर, है ना. तो देयर आर सर्टेन रिक्वायरमेंट्स कि कुछ एडजस्टिंग इवेंट्स है, नॉन एडजस्टिंग इवेंट्स है, तो वेदर वो सब हुआ है या नहीं, है ना. फर्दर आफ्टर द डेट ऑफ ऑडिटर रिपोर्ट के लिए ऑडिटर के लिए क्या रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है. तो यू कैन ऑलवेज गेट अ 3 मार्कर क्वेश्चन, है ना, that after the date of auditor report, auditor became aware through a news channel that the litigation is out. What are the responsibility on the auditor? Okay, so is it clear? So students, we will do one thing now. The last essay, which is very, very important, essay 570 relating to going concern. And see, with respect to 550, 560 as such, auditors reporting responsibilities we haven't done because it is not at your intermediate level. But with respect to going concern, you will see that we will be studying the implications on auditors report in detail here. So very important and very interesting essay. So here we will take a quick break of 10 minutes. But before the break, I would like to request you all to please fill in the form on the BOS app. And please send in your replies whether you have understood. And in case of any doubt, send in your queries. Okay? So a quick break of 10 minutes here. So students, I hope you all are back after the break. So I can see there is a doubt of Mr. Khojema with respect to SA 550. So he has a doubt with respect to this point. Just a moment. So here it says that entities under common control by a state. So basically the public sector entities, right? So where, let's say under CG, there are, let's say, two companies, public sector, more than 51% is held by, more than 50% is held by central government, है ना? 51% or more. So here, since they are under the common control of central government, so as such, these are not considered as related unless they engage in significant transaction or share resources to the significant extent with one another. So these are basically with respect to what? The companies, basically the public sector under national, regional or local government. Clear? Is it clear? So the fields may be different, na? Mr. Khojema, the area of business may be different. But if they have significant transactions with each other, then they will be considered as related. Otherwise, though they are under the same control, common control, they will not be considered as related. Okay? Okay. Now let us start with SA 570, which is what? Going concern. Tell me what is going concern? Quickly, I need answers. So this essay is also very, very logical. कि management के ऊपर कुछ responsibilities हैं. Whether management has done that or not, auditor needs to perform audit procedures. And here, as I've told you, that we'll be considering what implication on auditor's report also. Send in your replies. What is going concern? ठीक है, absolutely correct that the entity's business will continue for a foreseeable future period, है ना? Not for lifetime, Ayushi. Foreseeable future period is the correct term, है ना? See students, as per AS1, है ना? There are certain fundamental accounting assumptions which are usually not specifically stated in the preparation of financial statement because their acceptance and their usage is what? Assumed. Disclosure of such assumptions is not necessary. One of such assumption is what? Going concern. What is going concern? It is one of the fundamental accounting assumption whereby it implies that neither the business has the intention nor the necessity to close or shut down the operations, and it will continue for what? Foreseeable future. What is foreseeable? So you can say that a long period of time, at least 12 months from the balance sheet date. है ना? कि 12 months from the balance sheet date, at least the company is going to continue with its operations. There are no intentions of the management to cease, to stop the operations. है ना? तभी तो there is a concept of what? Current assets, current liabilities. Current assets, current liabilities क्या है? That within 12 months they are going to realize or the payment need to be made. है ना? तो these are bifurcated current assets, fixed assets based on the concept of going concern only, na? That the management is not having any intention to cease the operations or to shut down the business, है ना? For a foreseeable future. Foreseeable, where is it mentioned? Foreseeable. तो ये foregoing नहीं है प्रणव. It is what? Foreseeable future, है ना? So how is foreseeable future defined? Long period of time, at least 12 months from balance sheet date. है ना? So, and it is what? Assumed, implied hai. If it is not to be specifically disclosed. है ना? Now, who is responsible for preparation of financial statement? It is the management. Who is responsible for preparation of financial statement as per based on going concern assumption? It is the management. Who needs to consider the appropriateness of going concern assumption? It is the management. Hana? Then what will management do? What will auditor do? Auditor will perform audit procedures in order to see as to whether the management's assumption of going concern is appropriate or not. कि मैनेजमेंट ने गोइंग कंसर्न बेसिस पर फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट बनाई है ना, लिक्विडेशन बेसिस पे नहीं बनाए हैं. तो अगर गोइंग कंसर्न बेसिस पे बनाए हैं तो वेदर दैट इज एप्रोप्रिएट और नॉट. और अगर लेट्स से गोइंग कंसर्न नहीं है एंड मैनेजमेंट हैज प्रिपेयर्ड द फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट बेस्ड ऑन लिक्विडेशन बेसिस, है ना, देन वेदर दैट इज आल्सो एप्रोप्रिएट और नॉट. तो मैनेजमेंट ने विद रिस्पेक्ट टू गोइंग कंसर्न assumption, whatever management has done with respect to going concern assumption, whether management has done that appropriately or not. Because first and foremost, whose responsibility is to prepare financial statement based on going concern? Management. तो किसको सबसे पहले देखना है कि गोइंग कंसर्न एप्रोप्रिएट है या नहीं? मैनेजमेंट देखेगा. अब मैनेजमेंट का वो assumption एप्रोप्रिएट है या नहीं, दैट इज द ड्यूटी ऑफ द ऑडिटर टू कंसीडर. ठीक है. Further students, in your chapter number 11 now, when you will be studying about audit report, you will see that there is SS 701 on key audit matter. So what is key audit matter? Basically, देखो chapter number 11 में detail में discuss करेंगे, but these are the significant matters which relate to the current period under audit and which the auditor has discussed with those charged with governance. And auditor may consider it as what? One of the key audit matters and may mention it in the auditor's report that this was the matter and how the same was addressed. Hana? So this going concern can also be one of the key audit matters. Okay? So see, it is mentioned that SS 701 deals with auditor's responsibility to communicate key audit matter. SS 701 acknowledges that when SS 701 applies, matters relating to going concern may be determined to be key audit matters and explains that a material uncertainty relating to events conditions that may cast significant doubt on entity's ability to continue as a going concern is by its nature a key audit matter. So what is this? We will discuss it again, but अभी के लिए हमने क्या देखा? That key audit matter में one of the significant matter can be what? Relating to going concern. ठीक है? अभी हम डिस्कस करेंगे. ठीक है. अब देखो ऑडिटर की क्या रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल he'll see that whether the management's use of going concern is appropriate or not in the circumstances. ऐसा तो नहीं है. Let's take an example. Let's say the company is into the business of manufacture of, let's say, some carpets, है ना, and the company imports all the raw material from Korea. ठीक है. Now the auditor is aware of the fact that there is going to be a change in government policy whereby the government is going to impose a ban on all the imports from Korea, right? Or let's say the company is selling all its material, it is exporting its carpets, its product. And there is going to be a change in the government policies whereby there is going to be let's say, a ban on the exports. Now there is a loss of what? Material supplier, Hana. So this is a fact that casts a doubt on the entity's ability to continue as a going concern. जब raw material ही नहीं आएगा तो कहाँ से operations होंगे, कहाँ से production होगी, कहाँ से sale होंगे? तो going concern is in danger ना. So this is a fact that casts a significant doubt on the entity's ability to continue as a going concern. तो ऐसा एक fact है जो doubt create करता है कि भाई entity के going concern पर खतरा है. Clear? So auditor को ये तो देखना ही है that whether management's use of going concern is appropriate. ये मेरा पहला objective है. Auditor को during the entire course of audit, when he is performing risk assessment procedures, when he is performing further audit procedure, he needs to be alert कि ऐसा कोई fact और तो नहीं है जिससे पता चलता है that there is a doubt on the entity's ability to continue as a going concern. ठीक है. Now, what are those facts? I think you must have done these facts in your accounts, Hana. So events or conditions that may cast significant doubt on the entity's ability to continue as a going concern. एक डाउट आ गया, क्वेश्चन मार्क आ गया कि अब तो सप्लायर है ही नहीं, कोरिया में से आप रॉ मटेरियल ला ही नहीं सकते, अब कैसे करोगे फिर ये काम, है ना, right? So there can be various events and conditions. Financial factors are there, certain operating factors are there, and certain other factors are there. Financial, like when auditor is inspecting the documents, when he is performing risk assessment procedures, he might come across, when he's performing analytical procedures, he might calculate the current ratio and he finds that there is what negative liability or net current liability position. So which means the current liabilities are more than the current assets, Hana. So this is what one of the indicators, Hana, that cast a significant doubt on the entity's ability to continue as a going concern. Fixed term borrowings approaching maturity, कि जो आपने loan लिए हुए थे बैंक से, let's say it was taken for 5 years. Now that 5-year period has ended, but the client is not having any repayment plan. The client is not having the funds. Also, that bank is not ready to renew the loan. तो आप कैसे pay करोगे? Indication of withdrawal of financial support from the creditors. Earlier, they used to be the purchases were on what credit basis, but now no credit. The parties are not giving any credit to the companies. Negative operating cash flows. Your cash outflow is more than your inflow. Adverse key financial ratios, your GP ratio, NP ratio, all adverse. So these are what financial indicators. If auditor come across these points when he's performing risk assessment procedures, he's performing further audit procedures, auditor will what? He will be alert, because these are the facts that cast a significant, बहुत important doubt on the entity's ability to continue as a going concern. There may be operating factors like management intention to liquidate the entity. Management खुद से बोल ही रहा है that we are going to liquidate the entity. Loss of key management without replacement. The mastermind behind your company's success, now he has gone and there is no replacement. Loss of major market key customer or franchisee or license. Labor difficulties. If labor is not available, how will the operations happen? Shortages of important supplies. Emergence of a highly successful competitor. Let's take a example of mobile company, Hana. New technologies have come, new competitor, and who is successful. That may have a significant doubt on the entity's ability to continue as a going concern. Non-compliance with capital or other statutory regulatory requirement leading to solvency, liquidity requirements of the financial institutions. Pending legal regulatory proceedings against the entity. If successful, results in claim that the entity is unlikely to be able to satisfy. Entity is having the profits of 5 CR. But if entity loses that case, entity will have to pay 15 CR. Because the interest, the penalties, everything are added. So then how will an entity be able to satisfy such claim? Changes in law regulation, ban on production of anything in the country which you are manufacturing. Let's say single-use plastic, right? Uninsured or underinsured catastrophes, disaster, Hana, and which is not insured. Hana. There are floods or let's say a tsunami in the area whereby all the inventories of the client was kept. So again, a significant doubt on the entity's ability to continue as a going concern. Hana. So COVID, again, many industries were impacted. Who is writing it? Yeah, Mr. Krishna. So absolutely correct. So if the auditor, while he's conducting the risk assessment procedures or the other audit procedures, he came across any such events or conditions that may cast a significant doubt on the entity's ability to continue as a going concern, he needs to be alert to that situation. Hana? Because the auditor needs to, there is a responsibility on the auditor with respect to what? Going concern. Hana? So, समझ आया कि पहले तो first and foremost, whose responsibility is this? Management's. To prepare the financial statement as per the going concern assumption to see whether the use of going concern assumption is appropriate or not. पर वो ठीक से किया है नहीं मैनेजमेंट ने, वो तो देखना है. कोई ऐसा इवेंट कंडीशन तो नहीं है जिससे पता चले that there is a and doubt on the entity's ability to continue as a going concern? Yes. War, anything which has an impact, like Priyanka is saying, ma'am, Russia Ukraine war. So let's say the client, it is taking out all the raw material, the major suppliers were in Russia, है ना, or Ukraine, है ना. So there is a doubt now. Absolutely correct, Priyanka. ठीक है. So now let us just have a look at this. So basically एक पिक्चर क्लियर है ना कि मैनेजमेंट के ऊपर कुछ रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है एज पर AS1 कि गोइंग कंसर्न एजम्पशन बेसिस को आपको अज्यूम करके चलना है. यू नीड नॉट डिस्क्लोज इट बट प्रिपेयर द फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट बेस्ड ऑन दैट whether that is appropriate or not. Clear? ठीक है. Now SA 570 on going concern deals with auditor's responsibility in the audit of financial statement relating to going concern and the implications of auditor's report and implications of auditor report. अभी हमने discuss नहीं किया है. We will discuss that also. ठीक है. So the auditor's responsibility क्या क्या है? SA 701 बाद में देखेंगे. So this we have seen that what is going concern basis of accounted, that the management is neither intended to liquidate nor it has any realistic like it is not intending nor there is a necessity. That is when the going concern basis of accounting is appropriate, assets and liabilities are recorded on the basis that the entity will be able to realize its assets and discharge its liability in the normal course of business. तो क्या objectives हैं? देखो, to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence regarding and conclude the appropriateness of management's use of going concern basis of accounting in the preparation of financial statement. कि जो management ने use किया going concern basis of accounting, whether that is appropriate or not. ठीक है. उसके लिए to obtain sufficient appropriate audit procedures and to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence, auditor has to perform what? Audit procedures. ठीक है. To conclude, based on the audit evidence obtained, whether a material uncertainty exists relating to events or conditions that may cast significant doubt on the entity's ability to continue as a going concern. Ban on government policy आ गया है. Change in government policy आ गया है. That is a ban on the imports from the country from where you were importing. आपके पास raw material है ही नहीं, कैसे करोगे business? ठीक है. सो डिस्कस करेंगे मैनेजमेंट से वी हैव अनदर प्लान, वी हैव ऑलरेडी कंसीडर्ड इट, सो वी विल कंसीडर दैट प्लान ऑल्सो, जो मैनेजमेंट ने एज अ मिटिगेटिंग फैक्टर मैनेजमेंट ऑडिटर को बताया. व्हाट इज द वर्ड मिटिगेटिंग? कि कोई रिस्क तो है बट मैनेजमेंट ने उसका सोल्यूशन ढूंढ लिया है, तो ऑडिटर विल कंसीडर व्हाट? मिटिगेटिंग फैक्टर ऑल्सो. अभी डिस्कस करते हैं. ठीक है. And to report in accordance with essay. तो देखो, for I haven't made any charts for this essay, ठीक है, because I wanted to tell you as to how to read from the module. अब यहाँ पर तो ऐसे there is nothing to learn. ठीक है. Now how to make summaries for this? देखो, to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence, ठीक है, whether and conclude about the appropriateness of management's use of what? Going concern. ठीक है. Based on audit evidence to see whether uncertainty exists. और आगे वाली लाइन तो see the way I am saying that whether कोई uncertainty had that cast a significant doubt on the entity's ability to continue as a going concern. ठीक है. And to report. So these are the three objectives as per SA 570. अब responsibilities क्या है? They come from the objectives itself, to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence, to conclude based on audit and to report. ठीक है. Now students, very very important. See, there is a responsibility on the auditor to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence as to whether management's use of going concern is appropriate or not. ठीक है. Now, if there is no reference with respect to this, that is management ऑडिटर को नहीं लगता कि गोइंग कंसर्न पर देर इज एनी सिग्निफिकेंट डाउट या मैनेजमेंट का जो भी यूज है गोइंग कंसर्न का एप्रोप्रिएट है. सी स्टूडेंट्स, व्हेन मैनेजमेंट इज सेइंग this is not to be considered as a guarantee as to entity's ability to continue as a going concern. आज ऑडिटर ने अगर आपको ऑडिट रिपोर्ट साइन कर दिया है, In the next week, there is a tsunami in the area whereby all the inventories of the client is kept. So auditor cannot be held responsible for negligent audit. Why? Because there are certain inherent limitations as per SA 200 of audit, whereby we have seen that the auditor's ability to the possible effect of inherent limitations on auditor's ability to detect material misstatement are greater for future events. कल को सुनामी आएगा, फायर लगेगी, ऑडिटर को थोड़ी ना पता है. कल को बैन इन गवर्नमेंट पॉलिसीज आ जाएंगे, ऑडिटर को थोड़ी ना पता है. ही इज एन ऑडिटर ना. So the auditor cannot predict such future events or conditions accordingly. The absence of any reference to a material uncertainty about the entity's ability to continue as a going concern in the auditor's report cannot be viewed as a guarantee as to entity's ability to continue as a going concern. अगर auditor ने audit report में कुछ भी mention नहीं किया है, because according to him everything was correct with respect to going concern. Management का use भी correct था and there was no significant doubt. So absence of anything with respect to material uncertainty. So it is not a guarantee that the company, the entity will continue as what? As a going concern. Okay? Is it clear? So Dhyanish, which point? Okay, is it clear? So very, very important. You may get a question that auditor signed his report and after a week there was a fire. So management held auditor responsible for for signing on the wrong audit report or like that. So auditor cannot be held responsible for predicting such future events or conditions. Okay, clear? Which point, Dhyanesh, you want me to repeat? Which point? Quickly send in your replies. Last point, other. Acha, other, ठीक है. So with respect to this, so these were what? Financial indicators, operating indicators, and some other indicators. ठीक है. For example, this catastrophe. That let's say, acha, यहाँ पर तो we are saying that let's say the inventories of the client are kept at the coast of Uttarakhand, and the client forgot to get the insurance renewed. And then there was what? Some floods. So all the inventories are destroyed now. So now tell me whether there is a doubt on entity's ability to continue as a going concern. इतनी जल्दी कहाँ से raw material या finished goods आएंगे? ठीक है? 3.71 is this only, है ना? ठीक है? Then if any proceeding was going on, है ना? Any proceeding against the litigation was going on, and now the outcome is, and the company, let's say it is having the profits of 5 CR during the year. Okay? And if the company loses this case, then there are chances that the company will have to pay 15 CR, that the company is unlikely to be able to satisfy such claim. So obviously there is going to be what? Doubt on the entity's ability to continue as a going concern. Change in government policy. Let's say the company was in the manufacture of some single-use plastics or thermocol items. Now, let's say if there is a ban on the thermocol items, so the business will be stopped now, it will be seized. Okay, Dhyanesh, is it clear? Is it clear? So going concern is during the year course of audit, auditor has to consider it. Don't get confused with SA 560 here. 560 में तो है कि बाद में कुछ हो जाते हैं तो ऑडिटर को क्या करना है आफ्टर द डेट ऑफ ऑडिट रिपोर्ट. यहाँ पर तो क्या है? ड्यूरिंग द कोर्स ऑफ ऑडिट इज ऑडिटर बिकमिंग अवेयर अबाउट एनी इवेंट जिससे उसको लगता है कि भाई लेट्स से द ड्यूरिंग द कोर्स ऑफ ऑडिट ऑडिटर गॉट टू नो दैट one of the masterminds behind the technology of this company, he has left the organization. The company is not having any replacement for that. Okay? Now what will happen? During the risk assessment procedures, auditor inquires the management that acha aapka import kis cheez ka hai? So he said all the raw material we import from Korea. Now auditor is aware that there is going to be a change in the government policies. With respect to there is going to be a ban on the every ban from Korea. Now auditor will discuss with the management कि management फिर कैसे करोगे? फिर कैसे आप रॉ मटेरियल लेके आओगे? सो इफ मैनेजमेंट इज नॉट हैविंग एनी प्लान, सो दिस इज ऑब्वियसली सिग्निफिकेंट डाउट ऑन द entity's ability to continue as a going concern. Now, on the other hand, let's say management says that we are aware about this fact and we have already started procuring raw material from an Indian supplier also. So such risk is what? Such doubt is then what? Negative. Okay, so auditor needs to consider that. Okay, now responsibilities we have seen. So what are the audit procedures that auditor needs to consider? Risk assessment procedures. ठीक है, बहुत simple है ना? So what will auditor do? Let me just take you through this sheet. ठीक है. So what are the audit procedures? So when the auditor is performing the risk assessment procedures in terms of SA-315, he will consider whether there are any events or events that cast a significant doubt on the entity's ability to continue as a going concern. ठीक है. Further, he will inquire the management, that management determine whether management has assessed whether going concern is appropriate. कि management ने assessment किया है या वैसे ही going concern पे बना दिया. If management has assessed it and management has also considered it, this event, so auditor will ask whether any such event is identified. If management says yes, then what are your plans? है ना? Auditor will then perform all the audit procedures with respect to this plan. That is, let us try to relate this to our example. Auditor became aware about that Korea thing, that the ban is going to be there. So first of all, auditor will ask the management कि आप जो ये going concern पे बना रहे हो, whether you have seen, whether you have made an assessment of going concern use, whether it is appropriate or not. If management says yes, so you will ask the management tell me, have you identified any event that may cast a significant doubt on the entity's ability to continue as a going concern? Management says yes, we are aware about this Korean ban, so we have already plans. That is, we have already started importing, or we have already started procuring our raw material from an Indian supplier. So you will ask the management, okay, then provide me with the mails of your negotiations with them. Hana? Let's say management says we are in the process of negotiating with them. So, okay, provide me with the mails, provide me with the letters or all such negotiations. So auditor is going to perform what? He's going to perform all such audit procedures and he needs to be alert to all such situations. Okay? Now, it may happen that management has not as such considered कि going concern है या नहीं, कोई events को consider नहीं किया, वैसे ही management is preparing based on going concern. So auditor will ask the management, ना management बताओ भाई, how you are preparing the financial statement based on going concern when you have not assessed whether it is appropriate or not. And auditor will ask the management to assess it now. कि अपना procedure भी तो perform करो ना. Because first and foremost, it is the responsibility of the management to prepare the financial statement based on going concern. Hana? An auditor will be what? Alert all the time. Based on his assessment of SA-315, Hana, auditor will decide the NT of audit procedures. If during the year, during the course of audit, he came across any such event कि पहले नहीं पता चला, अच्छा बाद में when he went through this plan, he realized कि ये तो effective है ही नहीं. There is a doubt, ये Korean वाला ban तो है, but ये mitigating factor is not such effective. So now what auditor will do? He will revise his assessment. Hana, you have seen that risk of material misstatement assessment can always be revised, and accordingly he'll modify the audit procedures which he has earlier decided. Clear? Okay. Is it clear? So let us quickly look at this from the module. So when performing risk assessment procedures as required by SA-315, the auditor shall consider whether events or conditions exist that may cast significant doubt. In doing so, auditor shall determine whether management has performed a preliminary assessment of entity's ability to continue as a going concern. Management क्यों करेगा? Because management को ही तो देखना है going concern meet हो रहा है या नहीं. If such assessment has been performed, the auditor shall discuss them with management and determine whether management has identified such events, and if so, what are the management's plans to address them. Or Where such assessment is not made, फिर auditor डांटेगा ना management को. The auditor shall discuss with management the basis for the intended use of going concern basis. आपने कैसे फिर use किया of accounting and inquire the management whether events and conditions exist that may cause. Then auditor will ask the management to perform such assessment, and auditor will what, he will remain alert throughout the audit for audit evidence of events. ठीक है. And अगर SC 315 के assessment को revise करना, he'll revise that and he'll modify the further audit procedures SC 330 में. Simple है ना. तो अभी तक ऑडिट प्रोसीजर्स में आपने क्या देखा, रिस्क असेसमेंट प्रोसीजर्स. ऐसे 315 में ऑडिटर पहले क्या देखेगा कि कोई डाउट है, मैनेजमेंट ने कुछ असेस किया है तो क्या असेस किया है, कुछ आइडेंटिफाई किया है, क्या प्लान्स है. मैनेजमेंट ने असेस नहीं किया तो फिर मैनेजमेंट से पूछेंगे ना फिर किस बेसिस पे आप बना रहे हो गोइंग कंसर्न के अकॉर्डिंग, एंड व्हाट एंड नाउ प्लीज मेक दैट असेसमेंट. ठीक है. दीज आर द इवेंट्स. नाउ इफ लेट्स से सच इवेंट्स आर आइडेंटिफाइड, है ना. आपको वो कोरियन वाला जो आई गिव एग्जांपल, यू केम अक्रॉस दैट policy of the government. If such event is identified, है ना, if such event is identified, that casts a significant doubt on the entity's ability to continue as a going concern. Identified, है ना. Now what to do? ठीक है. तो सबसे पहले तो सीधा थोड़ी ना ऑडिट छोड़ दोगे या ऑडिट रिपोर्ट पे कंसीडर कर लोगे. एडिशनल ऑडिट प्रोसीजर्स परफॉर्म करेंगे इन ऑर्डर टू कंफर्म दैट. ऑडिटर विल ऑब्टेन सफिशिएंट एप्रोप्रिएट ऑडिट एविडेंस अबाउट दैट मटेरियल अनसर्टेनिटी दैट इज कास्टिंग अ डाउट ऑन द एंटिटीज एबिलिटी टू कंटिन्यू एज अ गोइंग कंसर्न along with mitigating factor, है ना, जैसे फैक्टर्स. ठीक है. तो मिटिगेटिंग फैक्टर्स क्या है, विच हैज द इफेक्ट ऑफ रिड्यूसिंग द इफेक्ट ऑफ सच डाउट, है ना. यहां पर ऑडिटर को क्या मटेरियल अनसर्टेनिटी मिली है, दैट देयर इज गोइंग टू बी अ बैन ऑन द इंपोर्ट्स फ्रॉम कोरिया, है ना. बट मैनेजमेंट हैज गिवन अ मिटिगेटिंग फैक्टर दैट वी आर नेगोशिएटिंग विद द इंडियन सप्लायर्स ऑल्सो. सो ऑडिटर विल कंसीडर दैट. ठीक है. इफ मैनेजमेंट ने असेस किया ही नहीं है इसको कि कैसे ये इस पे काम करेगा, इफ देयर इज गोइंग टू बी अ बैन, देन रिक्वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट टू असेस. सिंपल है, लॉजिकल चल रहा है ना सब कुछ. ठीक है. देन whatever are the management's plan, evaluate such plans, है ना, कि वो फिजिबल हैं भी या नहीं. ठीक है. If management has prepared any cash flow forecast, auditor will consider whether such forecasts are reliable or not, because negative cash flow is one of the what indicators that, or indicators of what, doubt on the entity's ability to continue as a going concern. So whether that forecast is reliable or not, and whatever assumptions, see forecast तो based on assumptions ही होगा ना कि ऐसा हो जाएगा, हम यहाँ से import कर लेंगे, हम यहाँ export कर लेंगे. Whether such assumptions are what, adequate or not, है ना. ऐसे हवाबाजी ना हो ना. It should be what, concrete. And auditor should consider whether any additional information or fact has come to the knowledge of the management after the management has made its assessment. कोई ऐसा information तो नहीं है, let's say later on ऐसा कोई information आ जाता है कि such ban is not going to be on Korean company but only on, let's say, some other companies. So auditor will consider such additional fact and auditor will obtain a written representation from the management. What written representation? So auditor will obtain a written representation, just a minute, from the management regarding their future action plans and feasibility of these plans. Simple है ना. अब identify हो गया है तो auditor what he'll do, he'll perform what, additional procedures including consideration of mitigating factors. ठीक है. If management has not yet performed the assessment, ask the management to make its assessment. Evaluate the management's future plan outcome, है ना, whether these are feasible or not. If management has prepared cash flow forecast and analysis, then since it is a significant factor, consider the reliability of underlying data, whether adequate support of assumptions are there. whether any additional facts or information have become available since the date on which management made its assessment, and requesting the auditor management to provide what the written representations. ठीक है. Further, in with respect to all this, auditor may perform various audit procedures like analyzing and discussing cash flow, profits, analyzing, discussing the entities available interim financial statements, है ना. तो जून का देख लो आप. Reading the terms of debentures and loan agreement, reading the minutes of the meetings of shareholders, in inquiring the entity's internal legal counsel if it is relating to some litigation, then confirming the existence, legality, enforcement of arrangements, है ना. Let's say the company has to pay a loan of 5 CR. This bank is not, earlier this bank was not willing to renegotiate. Now it has renegotiated, है ना. How the company is going to meet the unfilled customer orders. There is a strike of the labor. Now, how the company is going to meet the unfilled customer order. So basically, have a knowledge about the future plans of the management. Confirm the existence, terms, adequacy of borrowing facilities. Review the reports of regulatory actions. Adequacy of planned disposal of assets. अगर management कह रहा है ये जो 5 CR का loan हमें repay करना है ना, we will sell off one of our plants. Then what is that plan, है ना? So auditor need to consider all these things. ठीक है. Simple है. अभी तक हमने क्या पढ़ा कि गोइंग कंसर्न को वेदर इट इज गोइंग कंसर्न इज एप्रोप्रिएट और नॉट, पहले तो वैसे कौन देखता है? मैनेजमेंट इज रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर प्रिपरेशन ऑफ फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट ऑन द गोइंग कंसर्न assumption बेसिस. ठीक है. नाउ ऑडिटर की क्या रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है? सो द ऑब्जेक्टिव आर टू obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence about the appropriateness of management's use of going concern, right? Then based on your audit evidence, whether auditor has become aware of about any significant event or fact that may cast significant doubt on the entity's ability to continue as a going concern and to report accordingly. Okay. Then we did how to identify such events. So we have seen that 315 में auditor will make the assessment. Management से पूछेगा आपने assess किया है कि आपने कुछ identify किया है, what are your plans, है ना. If management has not made an assessment, then auditor will ask management, then फिर किस basis पे आपने going concern बनाया, and he'll remit throughout the audit. These are the various factors. Identify हो गया है तो उस identify अगर हो गया है तो additional audit procedures करेंगे, considering what the mitigating factors also. If management has not yet performed any assessment, ask the management to perform the assessment. Management का अगर कोई future course of action है, then whether it is feasible or not. Prepared, whether if management has prepared cash flow forecast, whether it is reliable, whether assumptions are adequate or not. Any additional information obtained, what? Written representation, and auditor may analyze all these documents. ठीक है, ये समझ आता है? Now, based on all these audit procedures, now what is going to be the implication on auditor's report? बहुत लॉजिकल है. देखो पहले तो क्विकली सेंड इन योर रिप्लाईज जो हमने अभी तक पढ़ा है, whether you have understood or not. Implications on ऑडिटर्स रिपोर्ट, ये भी बहुत लॉजिकल है. ठीक है. इसमें से इट माइट बी पॉसिबल दैट यू आर नॉट एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड 1 or 2 पैराग्राफ्स बिकॉज दे आर डिस्कसिंग डिटेल इन योर चैप्टर नंबर 11, है ना. बट जितना नॉलेज आपको इस चैप्टर के लिए चाहिए, आई विल गिव दैट नॉलेज टू यू. बट बिफोर दैट सेंडिंग योर रिप्लाईज वेदर यू हैव अंडरस्टूड. ठीक है. सो आयुषी, आलोक, ज्ञानेश, सपना, तनीषा, ऑल आर सेइंग मैम इट इज क्लियर एंड थैंक यू स्टूडेंट्स फॉर रिप्लाइंग. ठीक है. Now implications on auditor's report. अब audit report पे क्या होगा? देखो, if the going concern basis is inappropriate, कि the management, let's say the management has the intention to liquidate, that is the management should have prepared the financial statement based on liquidation basis, but management ने going concern basis पे बनाया. Auditor has obtained sufficient appropriate audit evidence about that. Then auditor will give what? Adverse opinion that financial statement do not reflect a true and fair view. And students, you will study in your chapter number 11 कि जब भी हम कोई opinion देते हैं ना, ऐसे adverse, qualified, disclaimer, हम basis of adverse opinion paragraph में उसके बारे में लिखेंगे कि व्हाट इज द बेसिस, हम ऐसा क्यों बोल रहे हैं. तो यहाँ पर ऑडिटर इज गोइंग टू मेंशन द रीजन. So when the going concern basis is inappropriate, management has the intention to liquidate, but management going concern पे ही बनाई जा रही है financial statement, then auditor will give what? Adverse opinion, and the basis of adverse opinion paragraph, the auditor is going to mention the basis of such opinion. Simple है, logical है, ठीक है. Now let's say going concern basis is not appropriate, but मैनेजमेंट ने करेक्टली लिक्विडेशन बेसिस पर ही फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स बनाए हैं. मतलब मैनेजमेंट को पता है दैट गोइंग कंसर्न इज नॉट एप्रोप्रिएट, एंड मैनेजमेंट ने अकॉर्डिंगली लिक्विडेशन बेसिस पर ही बनाए हैं, प्लस डिस्क्लोजर भी दे दिया फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट में दैट आर फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स आर प्रिपेयर्ड बेस्ड ऑन लिक्विडेशन बेसिस. तो बस इसमें देयर इज नथिंग रॉन्ग इन दिस ना. भाई गोइंग कंसर्न बेसिस अगर एप्रोप्रिएट नहीं है और मैनेजमेंट ने ये डिस्क्लोज किया और बेस्ड ऑन दैट ओनली मैनेजमेंट हैज प्रिपेयर्ड फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट, तो वो कुछ गलत थोड़ी ना है ना. सो ऑडिटर विल गिव व्हाट? अनमॉडिफाइड ओपिनियन. मतलब फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट रिफ्लेक्टेड ट्रू एंड फेयर व्यू, जैसा था वैसा ही मैनेजमेंट ने किया, जैसे बनने चाहिए थे वैसे ही मैनेजमेंट ने बनाए, एंड डिस्क्लोजर भी दिया है. If disclosure is the management has given disclosure also, so here auditor will add an emphasis of matter paragraph in terms of SA 706. तो ये चैप्टर नंबर 11 में आई टोल्ड यू डिटेल में होएगा, बट अभी के लिए आई टेल यू. Emphasis of matter paragraph is what? Where management has made certain disclosures in the financial statements, but auditor finds them so important to the user's understanding that auditor wants to draw the attention of the users to such paragraph in the financial statement. So in the EOM paragraph, auditor will mention that this fact is mentioned in note number so and so to the financial statements. समझ आता है EOM. और अगर थोड़ा सा कंफ्यूजन है तो चैप्टर नंबर 11 में डिस्कस करेंगे डिटेल, ठीक है. सो व्हाट वी हैव सीन कि गोइंग कंसर्न बेसिस इज इनअप्रोप्रिएट. अगर इनअप्रोप्रिएट है मतलब एंड मैनेजमेंट ने गोइंग कंसर्न बेसिस पर बनाया है, तो ये तो एब्सोल्युटली इनकरेक्ट है ना. तो एडवर्स ओपिनियन along with that give the basis in the basis of adverse opinion paragraph. Going concern basis is not appropriate and management ने करेक्टली लिक्विडेशन बेसिस पे बनाया है, प्लस डिस्क्लोजर भी दिया है. तो अनमॉडिफाइड दैट फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट रिफ्लेक्टेड ट्रू एंड फेयर व्यू अलोंग विद दैट एम्फेसिस ऑफ मैटर पैराग्राफ इन टर्म्स ऑफ SA 706 की यूजर्स सुनो, मैनेजमेंट ने करेक्टली लिक्विडेशन बेसिस पे बनाया है और ये मेंशन भी किया है इस नोट में, एंड आई एम ड्रॉइंग योर अटेंशन टू दैट नोट. दैट्स इट, ठीक है. नाउ द नेक्स्ट वेयर going concern is appropriate, but going concern तो है appropriate, ठीक है, but there is a material uncertainty. भाई ऐसा हो सकता है, ठीक है, there is a material uncertainty, ठीक है, with respect to which management has given appropriate disclosure है ना. तो मैनेजमेंट ने कुछ गलत नहीं किया ना. गोइंग कंसर्न एप्रोप्रिएट था तो अकॉर्डिंगली बनाए फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट, बट मटेरियल अनसर्टेनिटी है उसके लिए एप्रोप्रिएट डिस्क्लोजर इन द फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट दे दिया. तो ऑडिटर विल गिव व्हाट? अनमॉडिफाइड ओपिनियन दैट फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट रिफ्लेक्टेड ट्रू एंड फेयर व्यू. बट अगेन सिंस देयर इज व्हाट? मटेरियल अनसर्टेनिटी, सो ऑडिटर विल एड अ सेपरेट सेक्शन इन हिज ऑडिट रिपोर्ट whereby he will be mentioning about this material uncertainty. देखो यूजर्स को तो बताना है ना, ऑडिटर ने ऑडिट किया है ना, ही इज अवेयर दैट गोइंग कंसर्न इज एप्रोप्रिएट बट मटेरियल अनसर्टेनिटी तो है. सो एप्रोप्रिएट डिस्क्लोजर हैज बीन मेड, है ना. सो ऑडिटर विल गिव एन अनमॉडिफाइड ओपिनियन बट इन अ सेपरेट सेक्शन ऑडिटर विल मेंशन दैट मटेरियल अनसर्टेनिटी एग्जिस्ट रिलेटिंग टू गोइंग कंसर्न. सिंपल. नाउ इफ गोइंग कंसर्न इज एप्रोप्रिएट, management has prepared financial statement as per that, material uncertainty है but उसका disclosure management ने नहीं किया. In this case, auditor will give qualified or adverse opinion and in the basis of the opinion paragraph, basis for qualified opinion or basis for adverse opinion paragraph, auditor will mention what is the basis of such opinion. समझ आया? तो एक बारी क्विकली दोबारा देखते हैं मॉड्यूल से, देन it is going to be very much clear to you. Implications for the auditor's report. देखो, अगर गोइंग कंसर्न अकाउंटिंग इनएप्रोप्रिएट है और मैनेजमेंट ने गोइंग कंसर्न बेसिस पे बना दिया इंस्टेड ऑफ लिक्विडेशन, auditor shall express adverse opinion that the financial statement do not reflect a true and fair view. Going concern is not appropriate, but management ये समझती है and management has decided to prepare the financial statement of liquidation basis. ये liquidate कर रहे हैं ना, ठीक है? The auditor may be able to perform an audit of those financial statements provided the auditor determines that the other basis is acceptable. The auditor expresses what? Unmodified opinion, provided there is adequate disclosure about the basis of the accounting on which financial statements are prepared, but may consider to include emphasis of matter paragraph in terms of SA 706, that financial statement have been prepared based on liquidation instead of going concern. If going concern basis is appropriate and material uncertainty exists, so this is divided into two parts. गोइंग कंसर्न एप्रोप्रिएट है, गोइंग कंसर्न के अकॉर्डिंग ही बने हैं, बट मटेरियल अनसर्टेनिटी है and adequate disclosure has been made, auditor shall express unmodified opinion and the auditor's report shall include a separate section under the heading material uncertainty relating to going concern. Clear? If adequate disclosure is not made, मतलब going concern appropriate थी, material uncertainty भी थी, but disclosure नहीं किया, so auditor shall expect qualified or adverse opinion in terms of SA 705. Basically, now the auditor is not saying that financial statement reflected true and fair. Okay? And in the basis of qualified or adverse opinion section, the auditor shall state that material uncertainty exists that may cast significant doubt on the entity's ability to continue as a going concern and that the financial statement do not adequately disclose such matter. Is it clear? Is it clear, students? Quickly send in your replies. So with this, we have finished essay 570 also. So students, I wanted to discuss the suggested answers for May 22. So before that, send in your replies whether essay 570 going concern, whether it is clear. In case of any doubt, send it quickly. Students, I have tried to simplify all the essays. I've tried to tell you first about the logic as to why this essay is there. So I hope that has helped you in understanding, and all the discussions that we are having, the charts that I'm showing you on the Word file and the reading that we are doing from the module, that is all helping you in understanding, and that will also help you in learning. Quickly send in your replies, then only I'll start discussing what the suggested answer for May 22. Send in your replies. So there go, students. We started this chapter with our discussion on essay 230 related to what? Audit documentation, है ना? ठीक है. और यहाँ पर आपने क्या क्या पढ़ा? पर्पस क्या है ऑडिट डॉक्यूमेंटेशन का, है ना? ऑडिट डॉक्यूमेंटेशन विद रिस्पेक्ट टू सिग्निफिकेंट मैटर्स, प्रोफेशनल मैटर्स and professional judgment. Then we have studied about the audit concept of audit file, है ना? Assembly of audit file, completion memorandum. ठीक है. Then ownership. These were the topics that we discussed. ठीक है. Then essay 500 पे आए, which is about what? Audit evidence, है ना? So audit evidence, what are the various sources of audit evidence, है ना? Then management's expert, if you remember CCO, obtain an understanding and whether competence, capability and objectivity, ये सब देखना पड़ेगा. Obtain an understanding, evaluate whether that work is appropriate for the auditor's purposes or not, right? If the information provided by management is used, remember. Then we understood the concept of sufficiency, appropriateness, whereby we saw sufficiency is what measure of quantity, appropriateness is what measure of quality. Sufficiency के लिए we saw a topic that auditor's professional judgment depends upon 3 factors. Remember? Then appropriateness के लिए relevance, reliability, nature, and source of audit evidence. Remember? Then we saw how to obtain audit evidence by performing what? Audit procedure, ICAI ORR, inspection, external confirmation, analytical procedure, inquiry, recalculation, reperformance, and ORR, observation. Okay. Then we saw what whenever these audit procedures are performed, like if they are performed at the risk assessment stage under SA 315, these are what? Risk assessment procedure. To identify and assess the risk of material misstatement through understanding the entity and its environment at financial statement and assertion level, right? Then we understood about other procedures. We did test of control. To audit procedures performed to test the operating effectiveness of a control at the assertion level. Then we did substantive procedures, audit procedure to detect material misstatement at assertion level. Then we understood why substantive procedures perform karne hi hai even if the risk of material misstatement assessment is low. Because we saw that such assessment is what? Judgmental. And there are inherent limitations of internal control. So auditor will have to perform substantive procedures. Whether he performs test of details or only substantive analytical procedure or a combination of both is upon the auditor. Okay. Then we saw when will auditor check test of control? When he intends to rely on the internal control, and when intends, and when performing only substantive procedure is not sufficient. Remember all these topics? Okay, so I'm trying to revise this chapter quickly. Then we saw about assertions, representation by the management, explicit or otherwise, embodied in the financial statement, as used by the auditor to consider different types of material misstatement that may occur, potential misstatement that may occur. With respect to class of transaction, with respect to account balances, with respect to disclosures, we studied about all the assertions, and we understood the concept that unless and until the auditor is sure about all the assertions present in the financial statement, he cannot give his opinion on the financial statement as a whole. Clear? Is it clear? Tell me quickly, send in your replies. Yaad aa raha hai kuch? Hai na? After the assertion topic, we started with other essays, that is essay 580 relating to what? Written representation. Essay 505 relating to what? External confirmation. Essay 501 relating to audit evidence. Specific considerations for selected items, that is inventory, litigation claim, and segment reporting. Then we did essay 550 related party, essay 560 your subsequent events, and essay 570 your going concern. One essay is I think left. Essay 510 relating to initial audit engagement, opening balances. So is it clear? Okay. Now let us move on to what? Discussing the questions relating to, let us start from the end. This is suggested paper for May 2022. Just a minute. So I need your replies and quick replies. Just a minute. So this question. See, read this question. Achha, this. SPR Limited has been into C question. SPR Limited has been into the media business in 1990. During the financial year 21-22, Many notices were received by the company for hurting public sentiments and financial claims were filed against the company. As an auditor of the company, you requested the management for arranging meeting with company's external legal counsel. Management is of the view that such meetings are necessary in some certain circumstances only. Can you list down those certain circumstances? So Priyanka, same here. From the last 1 week. And thank you, Priyanka, for mentioning this. So tell me the answer for C part, SPR Limited. This question. So this question. So students, please fill in the feedback form and tell me the essay number that comes to your mind. So I'll read it again. As an auditor of the company, you requested the management for arranging the meeting with company's external legal counsel. Management is of the view that such meetings are necessary in some certain circumstances only. List down those circumstances. So, see, circumstances when becoming necessary to meet with external legal counsel. In the given case of SPR Limited, the auditor requested the management for meeting SPR's external legal counsel. In certain circumstances, the auditor also may judge it necessary to meet the entity's external legal counsel. The case may be the audit determines that the matter is a significant risk. The matter is complex and there is disagreement between the management and entity's external legal counsel. Yes, Sapna, absolutely correct. Students, please write the correct essay number, and if you are not sure about the correct about the essay number, please at least don't write the incorrect one. Okay? Don't write the incorrect one. So it is on page number 3.49 of your module. So please write the correct essay number. Essay 501. Let me just show you the answers. .49. So in certain circumstances, the auditor may judge it necessary to meet with the entity's external counsel to discuss the likely outcome of litigation. These cases may be where the auditor determines the matter is a significant risk. The matter is complex and there is disagreement. So it's a request, student, please do not write wrong essay numbers. Wrong name या wrong essays मत लिखना. Write it correctly only. नहीं याद है, कुछ confusion है, don't write it. Clear? Okay. So this is the answer, and see, a straightforward question is there. Now let us have a look at the other question. Yes, again this C part. Read this C part. The newly appointed auditor of BTN Limited wants to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence whether the opening balances. So newly appointed says what? It is initial audit engagement for BTN. No, for the auditor. BTN is the company. And opening balances determines that last year the company to theme. Whether opening balances contain misstatement that materially affect the current period's financial statement, what audit procedures should he perform for this purpose? So thank you, Dhyanesh. So I always try to make the subject easy and interesting. So if you are able to understand this, if you are finding it easy now, then that is really very motivating for me. So now read this question number C. And now please write the correct essay number if you want to mention it in your answers. So audit procedure, the newly appointed auditor of B10 Limited shall read the, see how by writing only about was that the newly appointed auditor of B10 Limited. So it is basically the way you have to present the answer. Shall read the most recent financial statement, if any, and the predecessor auditor's report. The auditor of BTN shall also obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence about whether opening balance contain misstatements, है ना? Determining whether prior period closing balance had been correctly brought forward, appropriate accounting policies hai nahi, and performing one or more of the following procedures. Remember, SA 510, initial audit engagements, opening balances, है ना? So write the SA number only if you know the correct SA. ठीक है? So is it clear, everyone? In case any doubt is there with respect to this chapter, please send in your queries quickly. And please, I really need your replies as to whether you have understood or not. And please do fill in the feedback forms. Yes, Priyanka, Alok, Piyush, Mohit, Pranav, Dhyanish, Khoje, ma'am. Absolutely correct. So, any queries, please send in your queries if any. So students, I really enjoy teaching you the two chapters, chapter number 1 and chapter number 3. And I'll be happy if you go through the module, if you read the module in entirety, and if you actually prepare yourself for all these chapters that have been covered in the session so far. Okay? So don't keep on accumulating the things to be learned or to be understood. If you're not able to understand any topic, you can rewatch or these videos. You can always send in your queries, though related to the last chapters, in the further sessions that will come. Okay? So Ayush is saying if we get doubts later on, then we are here. Abhi to there are a number of sessions now. So as and when the sessions will be there, you can always send in your queries. And if the query is related to any other topic, now try to send it at the start of the session so that we can, I can plan the lecture accordingly. Okay? So thank you, Pranav, and thank you, Sapna. See, when you send such messages, these are really very motivating. So we are able to know that the efforts that we are making that are actually reaching. So thank you, students. I have really enjoyed teaching you these chapters. See you soon for the, I'll be meeting you for chapter number 9. Hana? So keep studying, keep preparing summaries if you want, keep preparing yourself for the exam. Okay? So thank you and good night.